Hello guys, and welcome back to another Jesus video. Now this is kind of a follow-up of the last video, and in this video I'm going to show you how to hack games that use the Unity game engine using BepInEx and Unity Explorer. Now there's probably a bunch of other videos out there about this, but I'm just going to get straight to the point and show you how to make a little cheat program, how to modify game values so you can have an advantage in the game. Now, before we get into any of that, I have to tell you a few disclaimers here. First of all, do not do this on multiplayer games. You're going to ruin everyone else's fun and potentially get yourself banned as well. We don't want any of that. Now, any game that has some sort of anti-cheat, server or client-side, might detect this and ban you, especially if it's a client-side anti-cheat. So don't attempt this on any multiplayer games. Now that being said, there is some games that are really horribly pay to win, and they just suck if you don't have money to put in. Other people can just pay real money and get a huge advantage over you, and that's no fun. So these are the kind of games we're going to look at today. The example I'm going to be using, as you can see in the background, is AdVenture Capitalist. We're going to need some things. The first thing we're going to need is some knowledge of C#, which is the programming language that Unity uses. We're going to need a C# IDE. I am going to be using JetBrains Rider, but you can also use Visual Studio. The steps should be pretty similar. We're going to use a program called Unity Explorer and BepInEx. What BepInEx does, it's basically a mod loader for Unity that you can install onto games, and it will load plugins into them. We're going to create such a plugin to cheat in the game. We're going to use Unity Explorer to find the values that we want to change and see where everything's at. Now, without further ado, let's get straight into it. What I'm going to be demonstrating today is how to do this on Windows for a mono game. There is other Unity games, and you can mod those with the BepInEx Bleeding Edge versions, and I have actually done that successfully before, but it's somewhat more complicated. I'm not going to show that today. I am going to show you how to determine if your game is made in Unity and if it's a mono game. First, go to Steam or wherever else you have your game. I picked AdVenture Capitalist for this example. It's a bit of an older game, but it's going to work just fine. Now we're going to browse local files, get to the Explorer window that opens, and Unity games will often have a Unity crash handler file here. They don't always have to have this though, but they will always have a folder called game name _ data. If we go in here, if there's a managed folder, this is a mono game, so that is what we want. If there is not a managed folder, but another folder, then we do not want to do this tutorial. So as you can see on the BepInEx page, I'm going to have all these links in the description. We're going to have some information, and we're going to follow this guide for installation. Now, first of all, this tells us that IL2 CPP games are not supported at the moment. They are supported in the Bleeding Edge versions, which has another guide, but we're not going to cover that today. So as long as our game has the managed folder, we should be good. Now the first thing I'm going to do is get another folder here. I'm going to create a new folder called game files and copy all my game files over. I don't want to modify the game files from Steam directly. There we go. Now we can close that and close Steam. We don't need it anymore. Now, what we have here is all our files for the game, and we can launch the game from here now. Just going to make sure that this works really quickly. I just downloaded this game and skipped through the tutorial. I've done nothing else yet. Now, this is going to spam us with very annoying music. I'm going to disable that music really quickly, because this doesn't actually have in-game volume settings for some reason. Now, as you can see, if we go to the shop here, you can already see what kind of disgusting game this is. $100 just for some gold, of which you can buy various things, which gives you huge advantages in the game. You can also buy time warps, angels, whatever this is. Permanently boosts your profit speed. I think you can see what kind of game this is. Obviously, we're not going to pay any money for all of this. We're going to get this gold and a bunch of other shit for absolutely free. And I'm going to show you just how we're going to do that. Now the first thing we're going to have to do is install BepInEx, and we're just going to follow this installation guide on the main side. First, this tells us to download BepInEx from the available sources. Now the first thing we need to figure out is if our game is 32-bit or 64-bit. For this, we launch the game. We can leave it at this window, we don't need to actually press play. And now we go to processes, and we'll find AdVenture capitalist.exe here. This says 32-bit. If it does not, it is 64-bit. If it does, it's 32-bit. So we now know we have a 32-bit game on our hands. So we're going to download the x86 executable. We're going to download BepInEx from GitHub. We're going to use BepInEx 5 for this tutorial, the LTS version. You can use BepInEx 6 if you want to for whatever reason. Some steps will be a bit different, but I don't recommend it since it's still bleeding edge right now and some things don't work. We're going to grab the x86 version here. Go back to the BepInEx tutorial. The first thing you're going to do is open the zip. And you're going to drag just all of these files into your game folder with your game. The way BepInEx works is that it uses this WinHTTP DLL to inject itself into the game when it starts. And now that we started the game, we should see a config folder appear in here that was not there before. We're going to open this config. Let me just close some other files I had here. And the first thing we're going to do is enable the console. This is going to allow us to log things to the console, and that's going to help us a lot when developing. Now we start the game again. And we're going to see we have this BepInEx console here. Now this already has a lot of valuable information for us. We will open up a notepad, add some stuff from the previous video still here. And the first thing we're going to write down is our Unity version, or the first 3 digits of it. We're going to do 2018-39. That's all the information we need from here. We can close the game again. Now, the second thing that we need is to figure out what .NET version this is using. I've already installed BepInEx, so let's go to the plugin development section here. Setting up the development environment. If you don't have Visual Studio or JetBrains Writer installed yet, you definitely want to go through these steps. Now the one thing that I'm going to show you how to do here, installing the BepInEx plugin templates. We're going to open a command prompt, paste this command in, and it's going to download these templates. We will need those in a second. Next, we're going to create a project. And this is also shown here in the guide. We need to figure out what .NET framework version to target. And they already tell you here, if the game has netstandard.dll in game data/manage. So we're going to look for this netstandard.dll, and it's here. Then your game is netstandard 2.0. This is the best version. If your game is netstandard 2.0, you could be very happy. You're going to have a lot of C# features. If it is not netstandard 2.0, if this DLL doesn't exist, we're going to look for mscorelib.dll. This should always be here. We're going to look in the properties and go to details. Now this file version should be above 4 something something something. If it is and you don't have the net standard, then your project is going to be net 46. If this is lower than 4, your project is going to be net 35. Now, this is not really going to matter for this simple tutorial, but if you want to use other libraries and some language features, this might matter to you. For our purposes, we just need to know what version we actually have on our hands so we can create the plugin. I'm going to go back to my root folder. We have also determined the Unity version, and we're going to run this command in our command prompt. As stated here, .NET new BepInEx 5 plugin -n. Now we're going to pick a name for a plugin. I'm just going to call this AdCare -t, and then we need our .NET framework version. So in my case, this is .NET Standard 2.0. The T stands for target. Then -u and the Unity version, so 2018.3.9. Now we press enter, and this template gets created. AdCapChair. At this point, I'm going to open this folder as a JetBrains Rider project. You could also use Visual Studio here. As you can see, JetBrains Rider will now boot up. Contains one project. Open them instead of opening the directory. Okay. Trust and open. Now this is exactly what we want. And now it's going to start downloading the dependencies for this project. We're just going to leave it. In the meantime, I'm going to open up another Windows Explorer. With my game files, because I'm going to need this in a second. Now that we've determined that all this works and BepInEx runs on our game, we need to get to our next step, which is installing the Unity Explorer. This link will again be in the description. And we'll go over here. Now we are looking for BepInEx 5 mono. This is what we're using. Download this file. We're going to open it up, and inside there is a plugins folder. This indicates that whatever is inside that plugins folder should go into our BepInEx plugins folder. We're going to drop it in here. And now Unity Explorer should be installed. What we're going to do is start AdVenture Capitalist once again and see if Unity Explorer loads up. Gonna start playing here, and we should get the Unity Explorer overlay. This shows you the Unity game objects that exist within this game live while the game is already built. It's going to be very helpful for us to find everything we need to find. I'm going to go into more detail about this and what it all means once we use it. For now, we can close down the game again and have a closer look at the plugin we're going to be creating. As you can see, this is what we should be left with in our JetBrains Rider instance. And upon closer inspection, this is exactly what we have. So the first thing we should do is change our GeoID. You always want to change this to a reverse URL or reverse domain notation. I'm just going to use my domain and then the name of the project. Then I'm also just going to set the name in here. And we're going to just set the version 1.0.0. Perfect. Now we can build this plugin and use it in game. but obviously it doesn't do anything yet. Now, the next thing we're going to want to do is create a plugin manager. What this is going to do is hook a Unity game object into our game that we have control over, and from there we can start changing values and messing with the game. I'm just going to call this plugin manager, but you can call it whatever you want. This needs to extend the Unity mono behavior. Now, what we're going to do in here is just override the update class from Unity. In here, this is going to run every frame. We can execute some code. We can also use other classes like the start class. We're just going to work with update for now because it's really simple. Next, we're going to actually inject this hook into the game. I'm just going to get rid of this log output here. And I'm just going to write hooking into it. We're going to create a game object in here called hook. Then we're going to set that to a new game object. Now we will add a component. Which is going to be of the type of our plugin manager. Now we will apply don't destroy onload to this hook. This means that if the Unity scene switches, our object will not be destroyed. And after that, we can add another lock saying hooked. Now, this should hook our Unity game object, and then we should be able to see it in game. We're going to test this first and foremost. So I'm going to press the build button. Now I'm going to show you how to get this plugin into your game. So what we're going to do is go to the bin folder, debug netcenter 2.0, and here we have a DLL. We're going to put that into the plugin folder next to the Unity Explorer. Now if we launch our game, we have our Unity Explorer here. Now what we can do with this, which is quite wonderful, let me first see if I can make this a bit bigger. Seems like we can't make it bigger. Hope you can see this all right. Now up here, there's different scenes, and we will switch to the don't destroy onload scene, where all the objects that don't get destroyed on load remain. And now, looking through here, we should see something. This new game object right here doesn't have a name. We could change the name, it doesn't matter. And this will have our add_cat_chair.plugin manager in it, with all the default mono behavior attributes. Now that we know our injection works, next we want to start looking for some values that we can change. The easiest way to do this is to look in here with Unity Explorer, but sometimes there's things that are not that easy to see and you want to actually read through the code. We actually need to get the code from this game imported into our plugins project here, and that's the next thing I'm going to show you. We will go into our game files, manage, and there will be assembly C# and assembly C# first path. We want these two files here over here in a folder so that we can access them. We could access them directly from the game files, but if we update the game, something changes. Not really a good idea. So I just like to copy them over to this libs folder here. Now we will go to our dependencies here, right click, add reference, add from. Now this ends up in another folder that I was in before. I'm just going to real quick copy the path to our libs folder, select these two, open. Now if we go into dependencies, not standard assemblies, you can open this assembly C#. And you can already see different kind of namespaces here that are included in this, called AdCap. Now we can actually start working with the game's code. I'm going to go into a plugin manager, and we're going to type in AdCap here and see what this says in the store. Data service, feature config, random thing, so on, so on. Now obviously it's going to be really hard to find anything in here. Things that you want to look for are game managers or controllers. These are singletons or static classes that only exist once in the entire game. They're only loaded once and they hold data about the game state. So often it's very useful to just type in manager, look through here, see what you find. It always tells you where this is from. So if it's from AdCap, that's already a good thing. Don't see anything right here. As you see, we search for the manager. I'm gonna search for controller. Now from experience, what I know is that these developers like to call it game controller. I'm not sure if that's actually the case here. I have not modded this game before, but we will have a look. And this already looks like something that could be interesting for us, a game controller. We got bought gold right here, which is a read only. Save time period, pause time, next planet data. So this holds a bunch of information about the game, and it's actually a singleton. It has an instance variable that we can check. Now this is very interesting. We do have some values here. Like data service. Data is always a good keyword because essentially we will be modifying the game data, user data service. So we're going to be looking at this. Get the instance right here. And first thing we're going to do, create a variable game controller equals this, and we're going to check if controller equals null, return, because this could very well be null and then our program will fail. Now we will start with our logic, controller.gameState. That's very interesting. I can already see a bunch of things here. We're going to type in gold. Has user claim free gold. Now this is already very interesting. And also gold bonus, which is a reactive property. Gold bonus. Don't seem to be able to access this. Let's see, has user claimed free gold. Let's just set this to false. Now what we're doing here is just setting this has user claimed free gold variable to false. Before we actually start this, I want to see where this free gold is at. Let's see if we can find it. Just going to close out of Unity Explorer here. You can open it again using F7. Let's go to adventures here. Doesn't seem like it. Shop. Maybe there is some free gold option right here somewhere. Not really sure where this free gold option would be. Maybe it's something like this. Help and FAQ. Gonna open this, and this indeed opens the FAQ on my second monitor. Did I get any gold? No. Like us on Facebook. Now this gave me some gold. Follow us on Twitter, also gives me 10 gold. This is opening a bunch of tabs on my other monitor that I don't want to be open. Now, is this the free gold mechanic that we're talking about? Is this going to give me gold again? No. So obviously there is some kind of free gold mechanic somewhere. I can't seem to find it though. Alright, no matter. We will check out the next thing. Now, I want to know what some of these things are called in-game. We're going to use the Unity Explorer again. We click on the shop here. And now I'm going to click on Inspector up here. Just going to open this window if it's not already open. Mouse Inspect and UI or UI elements. And I'm going to click on the gold here. Now this is going to give me some elements right here. Pin store, image background, image gold, and so on. I'm going to do this again. Onto the number. And this is going to give me text gold amount. Now I'm going to click on this. This has an object called player data view. That seems very interesting. And as you can see, there is a value in here that we could modify. It doesn't actually do anything though. Because this is probably just a display value. Now, we know a bit more about this. Didn't really gain much here. But I'm going to go back to the code now, get rid of this. Controller.game.store shop layer. Some other good keywords that you want to look for are model, because that is something that interacts with data. So I'm just gonna search here. As you can see, I found an object called global player data on accident. Let's look at that. This is very interesting. Inventory. Store items live. Get this inventory object. We could already add items here, but I don't actually have the data for any items, so we're going to ignore this for now. I'm going to open this game controller again. And we're going to go down the rabbit hole with this game state object. Let's open up the game state. And in here, we can see a bunch of things. Max cache double, currency name, planet title, plant name, so on. Session cache, previous cache. I see something called gold bonus. Gonna close the game down here. We can see the Facebook multiplier here. So we might be able to abuse this Facebook gold mechanic to get free gold. Alright, let's check this out. Controller.game. Facebook multiplier. Then we set this to 100,000, we can. We're gonna set this claim free gold to false. Set the multiplier to 100,000. Not sure if this is going to do anything. A lot of this is just trial and error. And I also want to show you guys that we're going to go back here. Copy that data over, start the game. See it boot up. There's already a lot of errors here. Null pointer exceptions. I don't think that's my fault at all. Actually, it might be because we're setting things before the scene is loaded. We can change that in a bit if we care enough. Doesn't seem to break anything. Let's look at those connect buttons again. And it looks like nothing has changed here. Now, I am still interested in this. I'm going to go to the inspector, mouse inspect this button. News, button Facebook. Now we know a bit more. But since this doesn't seem to be going anywhere, I'll try another lead. Let's go back to this game state object and just straight up look for gold. It seems this hash-free gold is related to video advertisements that you can watch. Get modified gold amount. Import data from asset. You can see some thing about gold in here. Now this doesn't seem to be going anywhere. Let's close that game set up. Let's look at player data next. Look for gold in here. Player, you can see here, follow player items. And we can see here, player data 1.set gold, player's virtual currency.toString. Now what this virtual currency is, it's an integer. So how do we get this player data object? Controller.player data .set. We actually have access to that. Let's just try setting this to 99999. Now right now this code is obviously not very good. Gets called every frame. We're going to take care of that once it works. So right now we don't really care, as long as we get our gold. Since the game is still open, we can't replace that file. Start the game up again. And it looks like we do have gold. Now the question is if this gold is actually spendable. Some games synchronize some of these pay-to-win currencies or all of the currencies with a server. Now I don't think this game is fully online. A lot of games are fully online and only increment these currencies on the servers. in which cases sometimes you're unable to change them or you have to find different ways to change them. We'll figure this out in a second. Let's just try to buy this 12 times the multiplier here. And we got a success message here. I'm going to check the console. Doesn't seem to be any error. Let's get this 14-day time warp as well. You do not have any managed investments. I will not earn anything from this purchase. All right. Okay, let's start playing this game for a little bit. Start unlocking some things here. Now, if this is too slow for us, we can also look at that in a second. Okay, first let's get this guy. Whatever. And now he's gonna click that for us. Now, if we purchase this 14-day time warp, should actually work. As you can see now, 1.9 billion. Now, I want to really quickly go into something I talked about before about online values before continuing here. As I said, a lot of games have this gold number synchronized on a server, and anytime you want to buy something, they check if you actually have that much gold. Some ways to get around this would be, for example, if there's any achievements in the game that give you gold, you could repeatedly unlock those and then lock them again. That is something that has worked for me in the past in games that have server-side pay-to-win currency. Or you come up with something else. In this case, it looks like we don't have to do that. Now, gold isn't enough for me. Maybe I want these mega bucks too, and whatever this is. Okay, since I can just purchase these for gold, don't really care about them. I can buy these with normal money. Mega bucks. So that's now really intriguing. Let's see if we can get our hands on those two. First thing I'm gonna do is close this on. And I'm going to do is add a check here. I'm gonna add a section here first that says gold. And if controller.global play data.get. Okay, first I'm going to create a amount equals this much gold. We can convert this to a constant. Then we can see if we do not have this much gold, we can set our gold to this value. Now we will not be calling all of this. What we also want to do if controller dot global player data null return. This will prevent us from changing any values before the player data was created. Now this is great. Our gold should be working. Next we want to look at those megabucks. Now I want to see something. So before doing this, we're gonna go to controller.global player data. And we're gonna have a look. Store items live. Might be all the items that are in here. So we're gonna go through these. Need to import this. Okay, this does not seem to be it. I really want to figure out how to get my hands on all of these different types of items that we have. This global player data object here, seems to have a private inventory, private dictionary called player data, which is updated when you add something. Now we want to get access to this. So we're going to go back to plugin manager. We're going to use reflections to do this. So we're going to do player data dot type of dot get guild. Now let's go here. This is actually a field. We're going to just need the name, which is player datas. And we're going to need bind flags instance, because this is an instance variable. Actually, never mind, it's static. Bind flag static. And binding flags non-public, because this is not a public variable. Now we're going to need to get the value. Now to run this, we will need, I believe, an instance. We're going to pass in here controller.global_player_data. And now we will cast this. Now we're gonna do player data stop for each. And then we're gonna do the value pair dot value dot name. We should be able to just output this with Unity's debug log. Logging like this should not be left in, but while we're developing, shouldn't be a problem. Let's build this. Start up the game again. And I just realized we're going to be doing this every frame, but we should now be outputting all of the materials. Now, I don't want to do this every frame, I just want to do this once. So I'm just going to put a little bool in here. Output equals false. And then I'm gonna do if output, if not output, output equals true. Now this should only run once. As you can see, also our number that we're putting into this gold might be a bit too high because we had an integer overflow and we now have negative gold. So we're gonna wanna bump this down a few lines just for later. Now let's look in our console here. And at some point it should have logged out all those different data types. Now I don't actually see anything here, so let's go back here to the player data. Maybe the dictionary we actually want is not player data, but player data, which is a string dictionary. Player data, string, player data, string. Let's just convert this all real quick. Because one of the values is gold, I would really like to see a list that has gold in it. That means we found the actual place where all of these are stored, and then we can also maybe find the other currencies there. Going to open up AdVenture Capitalist again here. And keep a look in the console. Now there was a bunch of different things that got put out here. Still nothing that's actually useful. We got some errors. We can assume that this is our fault. So let's just maybe add a check here. If controller.global player data. Actually, there is a better way to do that. We should be able to use Unity Explorer. I'm just gonna go in here. See game controller here. No, I don't think this is actually what we want. Let's go to don't destroy onload. And we're going to try to find our game controller somewhere here. Hide and don't save. Now let's just go back here really quick. Our game controller is a game controller instance. Now this is not actually a Unity game object, so I don't think we can find it in Unity Explorer. So never mind that. If this was a Unity game object, we could find it here and look at it. Doesn't seem to be one. I'm just gonna get rid of this code again. Really quick. And we're just gonna keep this going. Now we're just gonna be putting it out every tick again. So it's gonna be put out when it's not null anymore. Just want to know what's inside anyways. Null reference. Object reference not sent to instance of an object. So apparently this player data. Oh, that actually makes sense. Because this player data is not static, it's an instance variable. I have to change it here. There we go. Just couldn't find it because we had the flags wrong. Now this is outputting a lot of things. Item ID. Alright, let's look at this add, the set and get method in more detail. If it contains a key, we set it. Alright. Now I'm gonna be putting out the keys instead of the values. We should be able to at least see something. Because one of the keys is gold. So I'm assuming the other keys are gonna be plain text as well, not some kind of encoded data. Let's figure this out really quick. So there we go. So a lot of this we actually don't care about. But here we have mega bucks, balance, and mega tickets. Let's write this down really quick. Gold, mega bucks balance, mega bucks tickets. There's a lot of other things here, but I don't think we really care about those. Close up the game again. We can now get rid of this. Mega bucks balance and mega tickets. Don't need this one again. Just need to change this to mega bucks balance if I recall correctly. Yes. Mega tickets. Now keep in mind this is all just very quick. There's a lot of better ways to do this, to run it just once or add a little menu to do these changes. This is just a very quick and dirty way to modify these values now that we found them. Don't want this tutorial to take a few hours. We're gonna get into creating a UI that's going to take a while. And as you can see, yes, we now have unlocked all of this stuff. We have these mega bucks, these mega tickets. We can do whatever like things you do with these. Now the last thing I want to do today in today's tutorial is actually modify the speed at which these go. So we're going to have to find these things. Now this is where Unity Explorer is actually going to help us a lot. Hasn't helped us a lot so far, I have to admit, but we need to figure out what the hell these things are called. I'm gonna click on here and I'm gonna see Landscape Ventures. Ventures is a good keyboard because this is AdVenture capitalist. So for these to be called ventures, in my eyes, makes sense. So let's go back here and try to find these ventures. Controller dot nothing game. We have venture models here. On venture purchased, holiday venture gift, boost venture, and on venture boosted. Now boost venture, let's see what this does. Now this seems to be what we've been spending the mega tickets on to boost the venture. But this also tells us that this reactive collection venture models might be something interesting. Now, what we get here is that this reactive collection comes from a file called unirx that we do not have reference right now. Now, if this error ever occurs, not defined in an assembly not referenced, go back into the game data here, unirx. We found the file that it told us to, and we're gonna put it in libs here. Go back to where we were before. Now we're going to go back here to the dependencies, add another reference to this unirx. Controller game venture models, and now we can modify this because we have imported it. Now what I want to do is a for each on this, which it supports. Let's see what this gets us. Game venture models. This has a bunch of reactive properties. Cost per is boosted. And now we just want to run this code once, so I'm just going to create a bool. Run once. False. Now the reason I'm doing this in the update instead of just when this game object is created, because when this is created, a lot of these things still are null. So we're just going to do it under where we check that everything is null. We're going to do if not run once equals true, so this will only run once. And then we're going to do guild level interactive property. It seems like something we might want to set. Let's first set the unlock state here. Unlock state we will set to unlocked game venture model. We could set the cooldown time to 0. And now we could also do is boosted through game venture model and so on. We could probably modify a bunch of things in there. Is managed. I'm assuming this is with the manager, so take it for you. I'm just gonna change these. Now this is only gonna run once and should change these values for all of these ventures that we have. Now we will copy over this file again. Obviously we have to close the game first. Start this game up. And that doesn't actually seem to do anything. We do get a null reference error here. So maybe we call it too early. Close it out again. And in here, we're gonna check controller, the game, the venture models, equals null return. Let's hope that this works. Now, these all seem to be locked, which not a good sign. And I have $0. There seems to be some issues going on here. Null reference exception. Setting a value to none in clamped reactive double. Okay, so it doesn't seem to like some of the things we did here. I am just going to comment out all of these except the state unlocked and see if that actually works. Let's see if it actually unlocks all of them for us. We can mess with the other things after we know that our code is actually working. So, very counterintuitively, it actually seems to keep locking them. Hidden, locked. Oh, unlocked. Oh, we want purchase. Unlocked is just that we can buy them. Alright, that's my mistake. Like I said, I've never seen this game's code before. I've seen other games by the same developer, so I know a little bit, but some of this is new to me. Alright, we have them all unlocked. Great. Now I'm just going to leave this alone. I'm going to set the is boosted next. Sometimes it's good to just do things one at a time, especially if it's this fast to compile and start. This game doesn't take long to load, so it's actually very easy to just take our time here. Start this up. And all of them are boosted. You know, that's what we like to see. Now this seems great. Next we want to work on that cooldown speed. See if we can't just knock that down to 0. Now I suspect this might break things, knocking it down all the way to 0. But we will figure it out. Let's see it. And we actually have $0. None of these are making any money. So knocking it down to 0 actually seems to break things. So let's just try changing it to like a very small number, 0.01 to start with, to knock that cooldown speed down. That might actually be good. So the cooldown does seem to be very fast. Now, let's get the manager for this place. And yes, we definitely did knock down the cooldown speed. We knocked down all of these base cooldowns. Let's see if we get all of these managers. Will we be okay? There's also obviously a bunch of upgrades we can get. And we could also use our gold to our advantage. Let's see what we can get here. Let's get the 27x multiplier, flux capacitor, all of that good stuff, you know. There's some kind of event, it seems. First, we're just going to level this up. These managers are very expensive. Now obviously we could just modify our money value as well, but where's the fun in that? Now we've brought this game to the point where we are very overpowered. We have sped this up to an insane amount. We have unlimited pay-to-win currencies. Let's try loading into this event, which actually seems to have some leaderboards, which does give you some gold. 2 gold, look there. They don't give you anything. Now, what seems to happen here is that our changes don't get applied again when we warp into this event. So I kind of want to have these changes also work when I change to the event. So let's just have this run, but only semi-frequently, so it doesn't lag our game. Run update equals false. And now we're going to count equals 0. Then we're gonna do count greater than 1,000. So every 1,000 frames. Count equals 0. Run update equals true. There's a bit scuffed way to do this. Could combine this code together, but I'm too lazy right now. So yeah. Now this should update every 1,000 frames. So if I go into the event, this will ensure it can never lag our game, because if the frames start slowing down, then it will also update slower. So this should not be able to lag our game. Now we just have to wait for it to apply. There we go. That was 1,000 frames, and there we go. Let's go over to the event and see if we can get this to apply here too. There we go, it's already applied in the event. And here we go. Just gonna click my way through this. We want to get the first manager here. As you can see also here, we're playing this in the event. Can now unlock the first manager. And this is going in the event right now. So we could probably get on these leaderboards. I don't think these are actually real people, but see the gold points right now, 840, and we're at 170. This will allow us to unlock the further managers. We can also use these time warps here. Now we can obviously also use these pay-to-win items here again. Get whatever 14-day time warp to just purchase the latest tier here. This is probably what other people are doing as well. I'm not really sure how you earn these points. You might need to complete these goals here, which is just buying everything. You can see we're completing these goals here very fast. They want us to buy 2 more microwaves. There we go, completed 1 more of these goals. Let's have a look at this leaderboard again. And yes, we're going up 605. Now, obviously, we want to be number 1 to end this video. So that's going to be our last goal. Beating 840. They want us to have angels with... Normally, to claim these, you have to reset your game. But what we can do instead, go to the shop. If I could find it. There used to be an option somewhere to claim all the angels. They might not have it in this event actually. Let's go for the other goals then. Own kitchen gadgets. Buy more door crashers. Now we need 1 more of these. We're just going to use more of our pay to win. Oh, there, I found it. There's the angel thing. Claim all angels without restarting. That's exactly what we want. Own vacuums, spend cash, own kitchen gadgets. We're gonna get these kitchen gadgets and vacuums. Now our total points are 5,500 right now. I believe that should make us number 1 by a long shot. I don't know if these are real people or if you can change your name. I don't think these are real people because all the names are just so generic. But that does not matter. We have unlocked the number 1 place in a pay-to-win game using our own programming skills on our own. Now, if that's not a good note to end this video on, I don't know what is. As I've said before, don't use this knowledge for anything malicious. You can do things with this knowledge that will get you in trouble, that will get you banned from games, will get your account removed. And some game developers take this really seriously, so if you try to do this on some competitive game, they might even sue you. Do not do that. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. Have a great time. See you in the next one.